or they try to.
Brothers and sisters, may the peace that can only come from the one God be upon you. We are here to tell the people that we hear you.
Yasu mi filimo afarasto parakalo.
You call that radio? You call that radio?
Hello there, I am joined today with the award-winning poet, Leyla Josephine.
Hiya, how you doing?
Do you like being called the award-winning poet? Because I noticed that's like a kind of extension of your name now.
I know, I don't even know where it came from. Like, I won one award for my directing of a piece and it's just kind of stuck. It sounds good, but I do get a wee bit cringe when everyone says it. But I also have just got another award, but I can't talk about it. But when I can talk about that, I'll feel less like I'm lying, because I do feel like I'm lying.
I think did you not win an award for your Fringe show as well?
Nah, I didn't win any of them. I came second in one of them.
That's not the way that I remember it.
No,
so you must someone you've worded that very
cleverly.
Oh, it's like just like the fact that I'm a Scottish Slam Championship finalist.
Yeah, I know you are.
But nobody sees the finalist as a word.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously you know all about it because I beat you for the first time.
I remember.
Yeah, you've put me out the slam a couple of times, I think, and then I won.
Middle
a very
class.
rigged, yeah, the class slam. It was totally rigged. I won it with a 2-line poem, a muscle accent, a muscle relaxant.
But also one of the best poems to ever come out of Glasgow.
Yeah, well, that was enough. But I could just tell the crowd were on side because it became a wee bit.
No one wanted to do middle class.
Middle class versus working class. Because normally you would just beat me with, I don't know, a poem about abortion or something that I couldn't compete with in a poetry crowd, and it's just somebody sitting there talking about, I don't know, Eric Pickles or something. And everyone, but that was the one I could feel that the crowd were on my side, and it was like there's no matter what I said, I was going to win it. So, but if it makes you feel better, I fucked up in the final. I don't know what I was on. I was so busy.
Wait, what are you talking about?
When I got to the slam, the nationals. Finals. So I
was with you, I think, that day.
No, that was in the class. We were in the class slam. And then this January, I got to the final because so the Scottish, the Nationals.
Yeah. This January?
This January, just there,
like last month, yeah.
And I just haven't done any kind of spoken word at all. I've been doing more either jackal trade stuff or band stuff with the gyros. So I've not really been doing my spoken word. And I didn't have time to prepare. And I second-guessed myself and tried to play it nice and safe with something that I memorised really well.
Yeah.
And I just kind of got nervous as well, and I don't normally get that.
The thing is that the slams are they're games. Like the way that you do it well is you always just change your poem considering on the person that's gone before you. So if the person's gone before you does a miserable poem, you do a funny one, and you'll automatically get more points, and vice versa as well. It's
funny you say that, because I think that's exactly. I tried to do the right thing, which was change my poem but Liam McCormick was on before me, and he did something quite funny and satirical. Yeah. So the funny and satirical one I had, I just thought, right, I'm going to change it up to something a bit different.
Yeah.
And I did Triangular Trades, and which is kind of more kind of hip hop style, to try and change it completely. But I think it was it was a mistake, because the finals isn't a poetry crowd. Normally you're trying to impress the poetry judges, but it wasn't. It was people that just like laughing at wee jokes and nothing.
It is a bit like that now, like that. It's like who can be funnier.
Yeah, and I'm actually alright at that, but I tried to be like a professional poet to win the finals enough.
You just can't go in thinking you're going to win. You have to be like, oh, this is an opportunity to do my poems.
Did you got to the fight? You got to the run-up second?
Yeah, I came second last year, and then Sam Small just fucking... But then he went on
What an intense final, I can imagine.
But do you know what? Like, Sam had never won a slam up to that year, and also because we were such good pals, to lose to anyone, it was fine. And then to know that Sam went on to win the world, it's just I was so chuffed for him. And if it had been someone that I hated, I would have been not being able to take it so gracefully. But because it was Sam, I was into it. I
think that was a brilliant. It's amazing that you got to the final, because I think if you ask most people, they would say that you and Sam are probably the best in the country just now.
Victoria McNulty as well. Probably.
Victoria McNulty, definitely.
Kat Hepburn.
Yeah.
Kevin.
No, there's not. We could go on all day. That's not the best ones.
I just tried to name all my pals.
Yeah, no, there's lots of good. I mean, is it? Would you say is that your? I mean, I'd say
Iona Lee is probably the best poet, poetic wise. I think she's probably one of the best writers.
Yeah.
And I'd say the rest of us gang are good at writing, but we're also like excellent at performing. And I think that I mean, there's such a good like gang, and actually I think because we've all been doing it together for a while, we've all learned off each other, which is really nice. Yeah.
So obviously your rave reviews for your Fringe show Hopeless, which is a poetry show. You toured up and down the UK, sell out crowds. Everyone talking about how you're one of the best poets in the country. And now you've made a new show that I've just heard there's no poetry in it.
None, no poetry.
Can you talk me through the thought process in that? I like this. I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
But why?
So my new show is called Daddy Drag, and it is a drag show where I am pretending to be lots of different dads in the show to kind of talk about what the archetype of dad is, in a kind of way of examining my own relationship to my own father. So I wrote loads and loads of really shit poetry for months. Like I've been working on it for nearly 2 years now, and I wrote loads and loads, and it was just all pish. So I took a little bit of time out and decided just to get rid of it all. And as soon as I did, I was like, oh, that feels really good actually, and just wanted to trust that instinct. So there's words in it, and I do a lot of wordplay, and my mum's in it, and she's talking in a recording. So in loads of ways it is really poetic, and it's got lots of spoken words. It's just not got any spoken word in it.
Do you find it harder to memorise stuff that's not... I mean, you actually come from a theatre background though.
Yeah.
So for me, when I try and write something that doesn't rhyme, I do. It's a lot harder for me to memorise it.
Yeah, I think that because I don't actually have to speak that much. So Daddy, so let's call him Daddy, because he's this like character, this drag persona that I've invented.
Deep voice.
Yeah. He's got a deep voice. He kind of speaks like this. Got quite more Glaswegian as well. Yeah. And he is kind of like embarrassing. He's kind of crude. He can be quite misogynistic. And he is really fun to play with. And he only ever speaks in like 4 lines. So like he's always like, right, and going like this with his hands, and like he'll repeat that and play with that. And then like I've got a bit where I'm at the barbecue and I'm like, how'd you like your meat? How'd you take your meat? And then like going up to the audience and like playing with them and throwing them sausages and all that. So like it's not that I have to memorize it now, it's that I actually have to like sink into like a version of myself that is really quite difficult to access sometimes. So it's the memorizing is not the hard bit now, it's the bit where I have to be like super present and just like really like, I don't know. You know how sometimes you do a poem and you feel really alive in it, and then sometimes you do a poem and you're like, oh, I was thinking about dinner, I was like thinking about my cat or whatever. Like that's what I have in this new show. Like there's no access for me to be like drifting away like at every moment, because it's not scripted. I have to be like in it, which I think is a new challenge and an exciting one.
So when are the first shows that people can see?
So it kicks off in March, the 27th to the 30th at the Roxy in Edinburgh, and then it'll be at the Fringe as well. And I'm planning to do a tour if it goes down well. If everyone hates it, I'll just put it in the bin, go back to Hopeless. Like, say we want Hopeless again.
Would you just bin it? Would you do that? Would you just bin it? Or would you not learn from it and then take it to the Fringe anyway?
Well, I think, do you ever find that you try and bin stuff but it comes back?
Yeah. Like
in a different way? Like if you look at a poem and you're like, this is shite, and you put it away, but then a couple months later you go back and be like, oh, but this bit's actually quite a good bit of it.
Yeah.
I always think that will happen, like it'll change.
Yeah.
I feel a little bit more pressure this time. It feels like the tricky second album, because with the first show, I was just like really wanting to prove myself. I was just like pure like... Yeah,
because there wasn't really any expectation. Obviously, you'd already established yourself as a great spoken word poet, but you were within the scene, everyone recognised that, so it's like it wasn't any pressure when you went to that Fringe, and you were doing that, you done that show independently.
Yeah.
So it's like nobody really would have given you a chance. It's just like most people when they go to the Fringe were like, good luck to them.
Yeah.
You kind of cross your fingers and hope they come back okay.
Alive.
Yeah, it's not about actually succeeding.
Yeah.
And then you fake news won an award. That's how I remember it.
Fake news.
You won an award is how...
I literally didn't win an award, and I never
I thought it was something like UNICEF or something.
No, it was... I was long listed for the Freedom of Expression
Right.
award.
That's big.
I mean,
That is big though. It sounded big.
it sounds big, right?
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it's the first thing I was ever longlisted for, so I grabbed onto it. And then, but I had other things, like I got second place for the Saboteurs Best Spoken Word Show, and that's a UK-wide thing, so I was chuffed with that. And then I got shortlisted for another award at the Brighton Fringe. So, like, I mean, I don't know.
It's like I got a SAMA nomination, and some people thought I won that.
A
Just by
SAMA
saying,
nomination?
A SAMA. Scottish
A
Alternative Music Award.
SAMA.
A SAMA award. Yeah, no,
I hear Morrison's and Sainsbury's are always fighting for the Salmon Award.
Yeah, well, I got it. Well, I got nominated, but so
Oh,
would
for
I
the
won
SAMA.
it. So would I won
Yeah,
it
yeah.
deservedly, but
Yeah.
sometimes just the award nominations enough people are like, oh, well done.
Well, I did win an award for this show I directed called Break It. So that's where the award winning comes
Yeah.
from. And then, but that was like years and years ago. So, but now I've got this new award that I can't talk about. I'll be able to
Well,
say
do you know,
it.
now
with
that you now that I
full-
think about it, when I was in primary school, I won a swimming award. And I think I think David Strachan finished second, and I think I beat him.
Do you know what? Like,
And I won, so I'm an award-winning poet. When you
but
think
also,
about it.
that sounds so salmon as well.
Yeah, the salmon.
Swimming-
That was my salmon award.
A salmon swimming award.
The-
I mean, it's a game. Like again, like this world is a bloody game. Like you write what you can on your bio to like.
And
Yeah.
it does work. What's interesting is it seems to these things that don't really matter within the industry, people sort of slag these awards or whatever as if it means nothing. But people outside our little bubble, they just see that as success.
Yeah.
So like the one that I always find funny is anyone from a small town will probably back this up that's ever played King Tut's, is no matter what I've achieved.
You're listening to Radio Swing, broadcasting on shortwave to North America, primarily for the central and western states and provinces, on 6010 kilohertz. Stay tuned for a half-hour program.
Do you or don't you take your beer with you after you have queued to go into a Portaloo?
Program. A drop in the hard stuff. Why government study recommends that Sweden should slash its notoriously high alcohol duties by 40%. Swedish ambassadors from around the world paid a visit to Stockholm.
Stop saying
We meet some
that.
of them and
Stop
find
saying
out
that. It's no pay to play. We don't even want you to play. It's just pay to stay home. Even the bar is nothing, anything at all that I've ever done. Nobody's that impressed. And then then all of a sudden the word gets out, oh, I heard you played King Tut's, mate.
Yeah.
Well done. I knew you would make it. And it's like, well, 700 bands a year play King Tut's. It's not that difficult.
I also think it's weird the things that people jump onto as well, like something that you don't think's that big a deal. People be like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" Like I'm working in Dublin once a week at the moment, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, you're working in I'm like, I'm in a school." Like it's not that exciting.
It is quite though. You're jet setting though.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you like the process of travelling to read or write,
yeah.
or would you rather?
What do you mean, like
Just I was actually thinking about this. I had to get commuting. Actually, I really enjoyed that, which sounds weird, but after the Slam Award, the Slam Championship failure,
the salmon
the
slam,
salmon slam Sama. After I get beaten that, I'd missed 2 days of my holiday as well, which I was raging about. So I had to fly out myself, and it was the first time in ages that I just managed to relax and do a bit of reading and listen to an audio. But I listened to the what was the audio book you suggested?
The John Runt, the Butterfly Effect? No,
not the Butterfly Effect. The other one is John Ronson.
Oh, so you've been publicly shamed?
Yes, that was the one. Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
Really good. I'd seen the TED Talk before, so as soon as you mentioned that, I was like, oh, I remember watching the TED Talk. And it is really interesting.
Yeah.
And I could relate to a lot of it. In fact,
Feeling in fear constantly of getting pulled up.
Well, I've had, might do a wee podcast about it soon, because I know a few people that have just been, maybe not to the extent as the Ronson book, but, remember the band that smashed up Bannermans, or the graffiti Bannermans? They were like public hate figures. Yeah. And I'm going to have her on the podcast soon, because they got absolutely, everyone turned on them. And the band did graffiti, but the point is, I don't even know if they did, but everyone, you're talking about very mature.
Oh wait, was it the seal thing?
No,
The- oh,
Seal,
that
that's
was
a different
another
thing. There's
That's
another one. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
there's another one. Sealgate.
Oh, I love seals. So
Yeah,
sad.
yeah. No, nobody killed the seal. Nobody killed the seal. I don't. The seal died of natural causes.
I know, and then somebody moved it. I
Well,
remember it. Yeah.
We allegedly we'll maybe do a Sealgate investigation, but this isn't about Sealgate.
This
This
is
is about Leyla. That's another Sama Sealgate thing.
Okay, right.
I'll give you a question.
Okay.
So
I'm very
want-
aware about coming across as a wank, by the way.
Yeah.
I feel like when I do these, I'm really worried constantly about being a
you'll
wank.
be fine. You'll be
Okay.
fine. I think she was a she, which is a poem you did, and then it just went viral, and then you had like right wing Christians trolling you, and that's publicly shamed. Actually,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
nice segue actually because that is basically the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I was publicly shamed, but I also had like a lot of support.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of people like defending me on Twitter and stuff, which I think helped.
So let's give the listeners a little bit of context of what happened there,
Okay.
to what the poem was about and stuff.
So the poem is about abortion. I wrote it probably nearly like 7 years ago. I can't be right. 5 years ago? 5 years ago. And it's about abortion, about an abortion I had, and then put it up online, and it just got grabbed by all these right-wing American sites, and it kind of just like exploded overnight. And yeah, it was quite upsetting for a while, quite scary. But it still happens sometimes, but I feel like I can be a little bit more chill about it now. But I don't know how you feel, right? But there's something, and this is kind of like not about the trolling and stuff, but it's been something I've been thinking about, so I'm just going to talk about it. It's like, see, when you write something, if you've written something really personal and time goes past, and when you've made a video or a song or whatever, that thing stays the same, even though you're a totally different person. So people now meet me and don't know what I do and look it up. They see this video about an abortion that I had like so long ago, and they then make all these decisions about me, whereas that is potentially too simplistic. That poem will never say what I wanted to say. It maybe was true, very true at the time, but now as like an older woman, I would probably write a totally different poem about it.
Yeah.
Like, do you find that when you write? Do you find that it gets quite difficult? Like,
Yeah.
there's a permanency about it?
Yeah, I mean, you could do a sequel.
Well, the thing is, I've been thinking
I
about
don't think
doing
she was a she. I think it was a he.
Well, but also like the face wash poem that I've got, right? Like I've started washing my face.
Yeah.
Like, do I do
Yeah.
a sequel and be like, look, guys,
Okay, I've started washing my face.
we need to talk about this. Like how do you live as a person if you're living in constant hypocrisy?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of sort of earlier stuff that I wrote that I wouldn't really do now.
And is any like on albums and stuff, so people
Yeah,
still
it's
have
on,
it.
yeah, it's on out. Well, just people take things the wrong way. Like it's probably the one that we can't really get away with these days is Jeremy Kyle fucked my wife. It's a tune, and at the time it was all right. I was talking metaphorically about
But
how
why would that not be
daytime TV show.
okay? I've heard that before, I'm sure.
Yeah, it just doesn't. I got
Doesn't age
I
well.
got it hasn't aged well because like one of the lines is "Dear Deirdre, my wife is a slut,"
Okay.
and
Well, there's your problem. You just have to say that line now.
well, it was at the time when the gyro started. There was a bit of shock value going on there.
Okay.
I was just like, but you know, this is about 10 years old. This is about 10 years ago.
I know, and how much has changed?
I was just coming from a scheme, and like I didn't know any arts people.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that was not politically correct. But what I will say is that people look at that too simplistic. It was actually about daytime television and women's magazines ruining people's brains, just generally making people insecure.
Yeah.
So there was actually a lot more thought went into it than the shock value said. But I was kind of hiding behind comedy a lot there, and shock value, and yeah.
But you could probably write it again in a more kind of thoughtful way now, in terms of like.
No, but I think it's the right thing. I mean, it was coming from. I mean, the whole point is the character is bitter and angry, because his wife's left him for Jeremy Kyle.
Yeah.
So, you know,
It worked for the character.
Well, I think so. I think that you've got when you're writing from a character, you should have a little bit of artistic license, but at the
Yeah,
same
I
time,
think so.
I probably wouldn't dare to do that now.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. So do you remember the poem I used to have? First of all, did you know you gave me my first ever gig ever
No.
in Ayr? Do you remember we did that alternative?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I live in Ayr. It's
All
so
right, there
bizarre.
you go.
Anyway, so I used to do that poem, Dear Beyonce. Do you remember?
Yep.
And it used to be about her singing with Jay-Z the lines in Drunken Love about Ike Turner beating up Tina Turner, right?
Yeah.
So I had this poem about it, and then I had it for ages, doing it for ages, and then 2 times, once online and once in real life, in like reality, and once in person to person, people were like, you do realise that it comes across as you're a white woman taking down a black woman. And there was some lines in it that were about Beyonce's body. And actually I was like, as soon as I realised that, I was like, oh fuck, I took it down, and actually have had no regrets about that, because actually sometimes you just have to listen to people when they're like, this is like upsetting and this is how it's reading, and actually to be an artist and to be a good artist, to be like, oh, it doesn't matter, like that I can live without that, and actually write something different and better that has more room for people to talk and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely always room for us all to learn and grow.
Yeah.
And change your opinions. I think you've got to be open-minded if you want to be a good artist.
100%.
And you should be able to listen to criticism. Although there's obviously that thin line as well, where you shouldn't be listening to everybody and every criticism, because then you will never get anything done. And if you start letting that voice drive the controls of your brain, then nothing good will
You'll
ever.
just freeze where you are.
Well, it's just going to make boring art.
Yeah.
So you don't want it to be boring.
And I think like with making mistakes and stuff, I think we have to be, and I think that's what John Ronson says as well. It's like, you have to be a little bit, like, people are allowed to make mistakes, and if they're sorry for those mistakes and then change their ways, then that doesn't mean that we write them off as artists.
Yeah.
And I think that actually there's not that much room for that at the moment.
There's not. However, what my experience is, obviously it's a terrible thing when someone does get publicly shamed, but in general, it does seem to tail off. I mean, I remember the madness of Sealgate.
Yeah.
And it was like really intentional.
It's scary.
With the son's phoning, somehow got your phone number. You've got the Daily Mail turning up with paparazzi.
Oh my God.
You've got like everybody who wasn't there having an opinion on something that they've known nothing about.
Yeah.
All these conspiracy theories. The best one I heard the phrase Sealgate truthers. I'm sick of these Sealgate truthers. And that was without a hint of irony.
I know, they don't want to get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, aye. And but it's that 15 minutes of rage that people who are at their job that they might hate or whatever, and I can't believe this has happened. And everyone just. So if you happen to be the story that gets shared first thing in the morning, before everyone's had their coffee, everyone said something really angry, and they've got to stick to their guns and try and find the evidence that suits their theory.
Yeah.
And just so you don't want
But
to.
your phone burns in your pocket when those things are happening. Yeah. When I just don't do it anymore. But like when I used to like get involved in these conversations about anything, like you'd put your phone down, you'd get back to normal life, but it would just be like know that messages were coming through all the time, and you just be wanting to check it. And the thing is because it's such a instant kind of thing, like you instantly are responding all the time, you don't actually have much time for reflection. So what happens is you're just like, I disagree with this, I'm just going to say something. I disagree with this, I'm going to say, and then actually when you read it back, you might be like, oh fuck, like I don't actually, like, you know.
Well, yeah, nobody's actually having a conversation.
No,
they're just bullet pointing each other.
But I think it's less than, I don't know if it's just because I'm involved in it less, but I do feel like there is less and less online arguments going on.
I would agree. There's less online arguments in my life.
In my bubble, anyway.
But I think that maybe Facebook feeds you, if you're an online argument guy, maybe they feed you that stuff. Because you react to that, and maybe if you're not taking the bait, then maybe they don't feed you as much.
But also, like, sometimes I see, like, I got into one quite recently when I saw, like, this big organisation that I'd followed for ages. I think it was, like, I don't want to say just in case it wasn't that, but it was like some feminist kind of online organisation that were talking about trans rights and talking about them really negatively, like, you know, trans women aren't women and all that. And actually that became a point where I was like, actually, I feel like I need to use my voice in this moment because you are really fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like I would say no to online arguments than most, but like I find it quite hard when it's like people that are really like exposed and vulnerable already being, you know, taken over by a group that I thought were like important or like powerful. Yeah.
I think that I just don't argue online with people. But the only thing I'd maybe just leave a comment is if somebody that I really like genuinely has said something that I think is maybe a little bit
when they could reflect.
Well, I think that maybe sometimes put a wee comment to maybe make them think maybe, you know,
well, if Mark thinks this,
maybe just hear me out, but I'm certainly not going to go in a back and forth. I'm just going to say it probably starts with I don't want to get in an argument. I don't have time to do that. Life is too short. I mean, you can't be arguing with people because I think for a lot of people they've maybe they're in a job where they can just argue with people online in their spare. I don't know. I'm far too busy for that. You know, even when I'm not, I don't want to be doing that. So
sorry, I totally took that on a.
That's absolutely fine. Now, actually, just going back to the female, the feminist group you're talking about there. An interesting one is Transmit lineups just came up, and obviously people released too many digital ones.
It's so funny, isn't it?
I mean, I've never seen such a it's like 95% negative, and most people are saying it's shy. Most people are saying, or some people are saying it's just the same as it was 2 years ago, which it is.
The same 2 years ago, the same fucking 10 years ago, right?
And but then some people have said it's sexist. Now this is one that I'm very interested in coming from a promoter background.
Yeah.
There's not enough females in the lineup. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And surely they've got enough money where they can afford some decent level.
I just don't think that they think any women artists are good.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? They're like, oh, we'll just throw Jess Glynn and they'll be happy with that. And you're like, Jess Glynn is shite. But
well, the new thing coming out. Well, apparently about 100 odd festivals have agreed by 2022 to have 50% representation over all the festivals. And I really don't see. I mean, it's a great idea. I mean, I'm all for that as a concept, but I don't know how in practice that's actually going to work as a promoter. Because what I see is that there's so many systematic failings in society and the education system that the reason that there is more guys in festivals is that there is literally more guys in bands and more. So I don't know what is going to. Is it just literally if you've got? It's just going to be some bands that aren't actually that good getting flung in because there's females in it.
Well, I think what you have to think about is the gatekeepers. So do you know what I mean by gatekeepers? Somebody that has the opportunities, that gives out the opportunities. Okay, so you think about all the gatekeepers at like Radio 1 or Transmit or whatever it is. They're probably going to be like businessmen, right? And businessmen like are probably going to be like drinking and partying with the guy bands, and like there's loads of stuff going on behind the scenes, like really high up. But also, as we talked about, it is about like getting more young women into music. Like why do women not go into bands? Because they go into these gig venues that aren't like women friendly. Like they go in and they're told that they can't play their instruments well, that they're only getting opportunities because they're a woman, like all of these different things. And actually it's about, you know, changing that. And if you can put 50% women in those opportunities, who's to say that they won't rise to those opportunities and be great? Do you know what I mean? And actually, it just takes a little bit more work to find the great female talent. It's not like there isn't any. It's not like there's not great non-binary bands. It's not like there's not great. It's just that actually it's much easier to look at the things that are in focus just now that sell money and you know, sell money. Sell tickets. So I don't know much about the music industry. Like I can't really speak as an expert, but I definitely know that, you know,
I'm not convinced.
That it'll work.
Yeah, I just don't see what I don't. It's. I mean, what if they to do the same thing for like so many working class bands as well? Then the working class bands just ask for more money because there's less of them. So it's just I'm just trying to see it from a totally pragmatic business point of view.
Yeah.
But it's like if you've only got a small percentage of the bands are female. The bands that are semi-successful can up the price, which is great as well. But for smaller festivals, I don't know how they're going to be able to keep up with that. And people should be there on merit alone. And I know it's controversial.
I don't believe
I don't
that's
think,
true.
I don't think, I don't
Yeah.
think, I don't think it'll work. I just don't see how.
But also that, like, saying that gets you off the hook for not trying.
No, I do try. I do
No,
try.
I know you do, but
I do, and
but that's what the businessmen right at the top will be going. Oh, it won't work.
yeah.
So that
Well,
that does is that allows people just to continue the way they are. Or actually, do you know what? There's just not enough female groups.
No, I know. It's more of the legislation type. You've got to do
Yeah.
it by that. But I think it's really good to open the conversation and try and think of ways to do it.
Yeah.
I'm totally up for that. And I mean, I'm quite well aware of the discrepancies and just little things. Like, I've got 2 girls in my band, and having them in the band totally opened my eyes to, because obviously in my circle I don't see a lot of misogyny or anything like that. And I always thought the sort of maybe in my wee bubble I was a bit naive about. But since I've had 2 females in my band, I just see a lot of little things, like, you know, the sound engineer comes up to me and asks me how the synth works and all that, what equipment. I'm like, well, ask Jess, she's a doctor in music, you know what I mean? Ask her, it's her instrument. Or even little things where no one's trying to actually, even nice sexism. And what I mean by that is, like, so they're obviously helping someone lift a guitar on the stage or lift an amp on the stage is fine, but I've seen them, like, plug in Joe's bass guitar. It's like, she's been a bassist, very good bassist for a long time. She knows how to plug her bass in.
Yeah.
And one final thing, like, it's just speaking about Jess, who's obviously, she teaches kids in music, and she says all the way up to primary 7, when she's showing them the synths and the digital music stuff, the girls gravitate towards it, and they really love playing about with all these sort of instruments. And then something happens when they get to first year where they're no longer interested, and it's the guys who make a beeline for it. So what's happening?
Yeah.
What do you think's happening there?
I don't know.
No.
Like music is a completely different world to me. Like I can only speak what I know, and I'm doing a project at the moment in schools, and I'm just trying to do I've been working in 6 different schools, and then coming to my final performance, and I don't have any guys. Yeah. So, like, it works. Like, I don't have any men doing any poetry.
It seems like now. I mean, I think this is a fairly recent thing, but it does feel like the women are really doing great in music.
Because they're not allowed to in poetry. It's because they're not allowed on the stage to do the band stuff. They're like, I better do poetry because no one's letting me pick up a synth.
Yeah, no.
No, I do understand what you mean. Like, there are going to be problems, but I almost think that festivals that are more diverse are going to be better festivals.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah, and actually. More women will go to the festivals, and more women will, and like, actually, like, your festival is going to be better if you don't have 5 fucking indie bands playing fucking indie tunes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. That's what we're talking about, transmit. But the thing is it's like, you can't just say, oh, I don't think it's going to work, because actually you have to be like, well, how do we make it work?
Yes.
Does it mean we do workshops for just women?
I'll take
Does
that.
it mean that
Yeah, no, I'll totally take that one.
Yeah,
I was too negative.
Yeah, you were too negative.
I was too negative, wasn't I?
You were.
Sorry, I was being negative.
It's a worry that you have.
We can make it work.
We can make it work. We just have to work harder, which is a fucking ball ache. But you just have to put in a wee bit more work.
Just get the education system. Sort out education system. Give us more females in bands.
But also, what does it mean to be like, okay, cool, we're gonna do some workshops for just girls?
Do you know I don't know if you have the Girls Rock School who do good work.
Yeah.
They're things like that. I think are a great idea, because I think you've hit the nail on the head there with it's a lot of the smaller music scene. There's a lack of females even in the audience. So it's probably not the most friendly, welcoming environment. Or the Scottish hip hop scene as well can be quite bad for that, when it's just 95% male. Yeah,
but then you've got to ask about, like, well, why is it men going into these art forms? Like, what is the reason? It's probably because in a lot of art forms they're not invited in. Do you know what I mean? So
I've got a theory on that one. A hot take, if you will. But I think that the fact is that for some reason something changes in secondary. And I think it's because society, I don't know if it's Instagram these days or it was women's magazines before, but women are kind of told, look good, look pretty.
Yeah.
And that's almost enough, to look pretty.
Yeah.
Because there's no lack of good female role models, although there's amazing females doing amazing work. They very rarely get the magazine inches to see, to something to aspire to. Meanwhile, guys, they've got to they've kind of taught that they need to get a good job,
Yeah.
or get good at an instrument, or
Yeah.
if you want to be successful, you need to work hard at
Yeah.
a more skilled based thing. So I think that's maybe what's happening there.
When I looked at like some really interesting stuff. There's a essay called "Throw Like a Girl," and it's all about how there was this big test done in a high school, and girls up to a certain age would throw overarm, and then they got to a certain age and they'd throw underarm, and you know, this idea of like throwing badly like a girl, and it's all to do with like women, the male gaze, and because like our system is based on the idea that everything should be viewed from a male gaze. So all TV and film have always been with male directors, so therefore we see everything through a male gaze. So when we look at a man, we see a man. When we look at a woman, we see a woman pretending to be a woman. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So a man drops a plate, he's angry. A woman drops a plate, she's trying to look angry. So like there's this kind of like thing. So what does it mean like for a woman standing on stage? Does she have another layer of awareness of being watched and what she's reading as constantly? And I feel that when I'm performing, I'm like constantly being like, do I come across as a dick? Am I being too middle class? Am I being too shouty? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? Is my hair all right? Like all these things. And I don't know. I've never been in the shoes of a man, and I can imagine there's very similar things happening with a man. But is that part of it potentially? Like,
yeah, well, what would you say? It's obviously, I think insecurities all over the board, and
yeah,
there's lots of people that when they're on stage. But at the same time, there's a lot less pressure on a guy on stage to look good.
Yeah, totally.
You know, just guys get away with a lot as far as.
I thought it was interesting what happened in The Skinny. Did you see when The Skinny wrote about the tenement trail?
Yes.
Yeah, so I thought that was quite interesting about how they put in the trackies thing, because I thought that instantly became a class thing.
Yeah, oh no.
You call that radio?
Essentially, the people have this fear.
Oh, I know what you're saying is important in that, but I just had to interrupt. I have to interrupt. I've never seen The Matrix. Never. Well, not even seen it. Not even the sequels. Not the first one. Never seen it.
Be aware of a bit of shadows. Get over the right, guys.
Okay, go ahead.
Be aware of the shadows, guys. Sorry. Okay, so this poem is called Sunrises on Kingston Bridge, and I wrote it because I've been thinking about Glasgow since I've moved out of Glasgow, and every time you talk about moving to or from Glasgow, everyone talks about how it's kind of like a party black hole. Now, when you're in Glasgow, sometimes it feels like you get sucked into drinking quite a lot, and I was thinking about that, how that was part of our identity and culture, and started thinking about how it could be quite harmful. And the reason it's called Sunrises on the Kingston Bridge is because I always found myself being like pretty fucked like on the Kingston Bridge in the morning, and like getting a taxi either west or south, and like seeing that like such stereotypical Glasgow view, and that feeling of being a bit like about what you've done that night or what's happened. So this is called Sunrises on the Kingston Bridge, and this is an exclusive. I've not done it before, so here we go. Our pedigree poison, only the best. Cheers to us and fuck the rest. Sunrises on the Kingston Bridge, watch us try and live ourselves inside out as we get our taxis back from the south. Glass towers and cranes, motorways tumble into cobbled lanes, window frames our city whizzing past as the sun confronts us all about the night before. Our city was built on squares, grown up and taught that nobody cares. The benches in London are playing truth or dare. Our city is built like a Rubik's Cube, always taught that we had nothing to lose. Cut in half by the Clyde, half a mile wide and bone deep under bridges, people try to sleep. How you doing? I'm fine. Staying out of trouble, seeing double. The bevy built our bricks, oiled our ships, salt and vinegar on our fish and chips. Friday night dinners in our tenements with their tenants and close closes. The pubs pour onto the streets. Suits and short skirts in between finger snouts. Music leaking out, a taxi driver shouts. Here, rain falls horizontal. He's got his Hallmark tonic in hand, full tonto, puddles reflecting the orange light, gutters swallowing the night, gulping at the small seas that lap the pavements. A couple are arguing on the pavement. She's slurring, please don't do this. Arms around arms, people spill out of bars and Barrowlands and stadiums, zigzag lines stay to them. Can't remember the concert they waited a fortune for. Tomorrow they'll be ill and sore. Seagulls are perched like CCTV, pecking at kebabs, never could put a finger on what makes us so mad. So many of us never worked out who we wanted to be. Our identity splashed us up, washed us up. Pull your head in and just get fucked. Our city is built on bevy and merchants, but we try not to mention that bit. George Square is phallic and proud. Statues stand, everyone a greedy man watching over as shoppers fill themselves, bulging on Buchanan, weighed down by plastic bags and new shop tags and carrying around round bellies, home in time for gin and tonic and Corrie on the telly. My city is greedy, swollen, gulping, sulking itself into seedy slumber, fat blubber, all smiles and laughs and lies that people make this city. People drink this city drowns its people, while others beg in empty entrances, hoping that someone will take a proper look at them, sleeping bag around their knees, dreading winter, watching the ground freeze. Why would I give them money? They'll just spend it on drink and drugs when I could spend it on drink and drugs. And the rich kids in the West, they take the same, but they call it council coke. We're no like the junkies, but they go unannounced, bounce and dance in clubs, hitting hands off ceilings, scared their lives have no meaning. The walls are wet with their wishes, hands pulling at their faces, chatting vinyls, failing finals, and doing the same thing every weekend, round and round. Patsy at £100, never searched on the streets. Their parents doing what they can to keep their records clean, and the Roma, they sell their flowers hand to mouth, then mouth, please, my friend. Jaw swinging, eyes spinning, turned her back without a word, only a plastered smirk on the wall that she's built around herself. The bevy runs right through my city. The veins are the same colour as the Bucky, the Clyde Mucky, built on violence, stony silence, and squares to be solved. Our pedigree poison, only the best, cheers to us and fuck the rest. Sunrises on the Kingston Bridge, watch us try and live ourselves inside out as we get our taxis back south.
So what's that called?
Are you joking? I literally said it about 5 times.
You know, I thought you maybe...
I know you were focusing on the filming. Sunrises on the Kingston Bridge.
See, it could have been called Our City.
Yeah, it could have been.
Or it could have been called...
Are you a Tim or are you a Hush? No, obviously not. Yeah, I've just been thinking a lot because I don't live in Glasgow anymore. I've been thinking about how Glasgow's so tied up with drinking to me, and like actually now I've got an excuse not to be drinking all the time. Yeah, and actually being sober. See, since I've quit coffee, and I feel like I could do anything. Yeah.
So you've been off the coffee for
2 weeks tomorrow.
2 weeks.
And I'm here to tell you, you should all do the same.
I've just got back into it. I'm telling everyone to get back into it. It's great. No, I don't really normally bother with coffee that much apart from emergencies, but...
My moods have just been so, I know I was telling you this earlier, but just so mellow. Like, I suffer from quite like highs and lows like a lot of the time. Like, I feel quite low almost daily, like in about 4 p.m, like ready for a nap. Just joking. But I think coffee has got something to do with that. And I just never even tied anxiety and coffee together, even though people always say that. I feel stupid for not realising.
Yeah, no, I've been aware of it for quite a while. So, because all it takes is just that one extra coffee and then I notice it.
Yeah.
I'm quite aware of the effect it has on me, but I've just had a really just doing a lot of DIY, and I hate DIY. So
I've just been doing my garden.
And it's been long days, and I've just been drinking coffee now. I'm finally a wee bit free from the DIY, so I've just got so much stuff to catch up on. So I've just been coffee and fags. I've been loving fags again as well.
No.
Back in at the fags.
I smoke fags when I'm drinking.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm gonna quit the smoking again. That wasn't the right time.
Just don't start on those fucking vapes, man.
Well, do you know what? Slag vapes all you like, but the first time I quit smoking, I don't know if I would have done it without it. But then very quickly, what I started doing was trying to move the vape for the. So when I'm drinking, when I'm smoking, I would use the vape as a thing.
Yeah.
Rather than vaping all week and then vaping and smoking when you're drinking is just a terrible thing to do. So yeah, it taught me that there is life without cigarettes. But now it is a bit rubbish, so I don't need it either. But
I'm really bad for eating too much bread. That's my thing. Like I feel like I'm addicted to pizza and bread, and
that's bad for you as well.
And sugar.
And sugar's really bad for you. Yeah, everything's really bad for you.
This is fucking turning into a really boring conversation. I've been very quickly.
Have you tried the avocados, by the way?
Oh, fucking yes.
Well, let's go
what
back.
Do I talk
let's
about?
go. Okay, well,
So
can you talk the teaching? Let's talk about the other side of you, which is and that's why you're called Leyla Josephine, isn't it?
What?
Because is that why you did it? So you've got a stage name, so to
no, I used my stage name in schools and stuff as well because Leyla Josephine happened because of the abortion trolling.
Oh, right.
Because I changed my second name. So you've known me from the OG. Yeah. So like quite a lot of people don't know my second name, which you don't say it.
Secret information. Okay.
And
so
can you remember it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Secret information for friends only.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I changed it because I wanted to keep
right-wing American Christians were gunning for you,
and I was a bit scared.
Did they help promo? That must have helped with the promo eventually.
But let me tell you a story. Right, you'll like this story. Do you know who Jodie Picoult is?
No.
She's this author. She's been on the New York bestseller like 10 times with her last 10 books. Right, she writes these like female stories that are quite like not trashy but like easy reads. They're always about like something quite political. So she called me out of the blue, like maybe like last year, maybe the year before, being like, really want to put your poem at the start of the new book, which is all about this like person shooting up. She's Canadian. It's about this person shooting up a Planned Parenthood thing in America. So it's all about abortion. But she wanted to put, I think she was a she on it, but then she just fucking disappeared. She patched me.
Yeah.
I was like, I've made it, finally gonna, break it in America. She just completely patched me. Books out, #1 bestseller in New York.
#1 bestseller.
She was on the fucking phone to me. I was like, got so
excited. At least you're on the long list. That still counts.
No, but do you know that we were like, everything that comes from that poem is actually, it does come around. And if nothing had happened other than it had helped women get through that process, and that's the important thing. And I don't want to keep talking about it. I talk about it all the time.
Okay, no worries. The fair point I was just making that is you're talking.
No, it was me that brought it up.
I know. One thing is, although you're saying that you think you're a different person from that now.
Yeah.
There's still going to be lots of young women going through that thing
now,
that find and they can totally relate to that. So it's a good thing.
It is a good thing. Well done.
Well done. Well, okay.
Salmon. But what was your question about the teaching? Right.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you get into so is it writing workshops you do?
So I do I offer quite a lot of different things. It depends on the group. So I've been teaching and facilitating workshops I started in second year of uni because that was a big part of what we did. It was all about activist art and how you can help others produce their own work and stuff like that. So I was doing that with contemporary autobiographical work, so writing, but also just performance. And I first worked in platform in Easter House. I worked in Perth. I've done lots of things: prisons, adults with learning difficulties, young people with learning difficulties, at risk, which is a horrible way of talking about young people, but the council talk about them like that sometimes. So I really love it. I try not to talk about it too much like you're going in and saving people's lives, or you're going in and being like it's the best thing for them and all this, because I think quite a lot of artists do that and actually think they're God's gift going into these communities, and I never want to say that, because actually there's only
Well,
so
if
much
you don't want
you
to
can
say it,
do.
I'll say it for you. You're changing lives and making the world a better place.
I don't think so, because I think there's systematical things that are real challenging, and all you are actually doing is going in and giving space for people to be creative, and actually that's amazing.
That is.
And I love and people see it as like, I think a lot of artists see it as like a side job. They're like, oh, my real job is being an artist, but you know, to make money I teach on the side. Whereas I see my practice is actually working with other people. Like that is what I'm probably best at.
Yeah.
And then actually it's not a side project. It's really it's my job.
Have you got an inspirational story where something nice happened in the job? Because obviously I'm sure you'll have, most days will actually be very difficult and challenging.
Yeah.
But have you got anything nice?
Lots of things happen all the time that are just amazing, and actually some people that couldn't answer in class at all, like being able to stand in front of people and speak. Like at did you Lumo's gig film premiere last weekend? I brought a group of young women that I've been working with, and
That was their first gig.
their
sold out
first
St.
gig,
Luke's.
yeah.
Oh, brilliant! That's amazing.
So they did 3 poems, and they're from they're from Drumchapel, Clydebank, and like they've never done it before. One of them isn't in like regular school. She does half a timetable because she suffers from anxiety so much, and she got up and did this thing, and everyone and actually I didn't make them do that. That all I did was I made space for that to happen.
You built a stage.
I built a stage, and I built and actually to go into workshops and to, rather than be like, this is how you do it, ask them, be like, so what do you want to do, and then actually be led by them, and that's I think that's why I'm not a teacher. That's why I'm a facilitator. I don't teach. I help people do it themselves.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what was the girl with anxiety? How was she buzzing after her gig?
Oh my god, she's amazing. And then she's like, oh, when can I do my next one? Like all this. Like she's great. And she's had, like, everyone has a really
It's such an amazing thing to do. You know, we've been involved in some charity gigs at the bars, so I've seen young people like going and playing the bar as their first gig and stuff, and you're like,
wow. You mean shit. Like, I wish I'd done that.
Well, I think that's a really good way of. I mean, it's all downhill for there, I suppose, but in a way, it's a lot. I think there's a lot less, because you've got such a big crowd all want you to do well. It's a lot less nerve-wracking in the ways than
doing it in front of a school. Because school audiences are the worst, man.
Yeah, because everyone's smirking. And
I have to perform in schools all the time, and I'm telling you that I've done so many gigs, and I'll tell you, speaking in an assembly is the worst.
Do you giggle? Do you get heckled?
Oh, everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And I did Hopeless in Craig Miller High not that long ago, last show I ever did, right? So coming off this amazing tour, went really well, going into high school, and there's a girl in the front row on her phone the whole time. So you have to but also you just have to be like, you're just planting seeds. Like, so rather than thinking you just have to lower your expectations, be like, look, if I'm just exposing them to a different kind of like art form, or if I am planting them a seed to think that actually it might not be so scary to speak in public, and actually I don't even see the results, but they get the results.
Would you say it's fair to say that spoken word poetry especially is a bit cooler than it was maybe 10 or 20 years ago for the kids?
I feel like you get uncool poetry and you get cool poetry. Yeah. And actually it's the same with music. There's so many different genres. See, some of the stuff that the young people like, though, they like come and like, oh, have you seen this? I'm like, oh God. But like, you know, it's just like music. Everyone's got tastes, right?
Well, like when I was growing up, there was not, all I remember was poetry was a thing that just was not for us, and it was boring.
I never felt like it was for me either.
But I don't know if it's maybe with the increase in, YouTube, you've got all these quite, dramatic American poets who, the gasp said it all. Yeah,
I think it was an exhale, actually.
Yeah, an exhale. Sorry. Oh,
do you know what?
But that's obviously the gateway. It's like when you got those rubbish pop bands that play with guitars, it's still better that a young person's
gateway. Yeah. I feel like I fall in and out of love with it all the time. Like I see some stuff, like I'll go to a gig that I'm performing at, and I'll just be like, not enjoy my performance and not enjoy the gig of watching other people. And then sometimes you get one where you're just like blown away by it, and you're just like, this is an amazing form. And I think it comes and goes, and I think it is really powerful within schools because actually all you're asking for is for people to tell a story. So I always say that you can tell a story about anything. So I don't ask them like, tell me about the time that this bad thing happened to you. I always keep it really open. So I'll ask them things like, tell me about your favorite song, or like, tell me about your favorite meal, or like, you know, talk to me about a journey you've been on. And those open-ended questions, then people can like decide, oh, it's a journey. Like I remember we did a journey in prison once. It was like, tell us about journey. And some person talks about going to Portugal to see Celtic, and another person talked about the journey to prison. Another person talked about.
Was it women's prisons or male?
No, male.
Male prison then.
Yeah.
So how was that?
Good. Yeah, it's an interesting place to work. It's quite heavy in terms of like the context, obviously. But you always just work with the person that's in front of you, right? And I've had definitely more difficult people outside prison as well as inside prison.
Well, I suppose if that person's they've it's something to look forward to, I suppose, in their day. So if they've actually made the effort to come to the lesson, then they're doing that by choice. So they probably are interested.
And it's harder some days and easier other days. Yeah. You know, I think when you go into any group, like especially even working, so I've done like asylum seekers as well, and every context is different, but also you can never expect the same from the same context. Like going into Pullman is very different from going into Barlinnie, but even getting two different groups in Barlinnie is really different. So you all, like every time you go into a room, you're always really nervous because you never.
Well, I mean, I think that just ties in with why you're enjoying some gigs and not others, because I think poetry is, when done right, especially, it's very emotive.
Yeah.
And when sometimes you're right in the mood for it. Sometimes you need that. Yeah. You want a bit of, but sometimes you just can't be bothered listening to people heartbreak. You're like, come on, I'm having a rough day as it is. But sometimes when you're down, the same way we listen to depressing music, sometimes that can heal your soul, or sometimes you can get that off.
But it's like I think sometimes when I'm working with these vulnerable groups and they're writing this poetry that might not be, in like quotation marks, as good, and then you go to poetry nights, but like somehow, because I know the stages that they've got to get this work, it feels so much more massive. Whereas you go to some poetry nights that I'm just like, oh, you just don't have a clue. But also at the same time, like I don't have a clue what they've had to go through to get there either. So, but obviously sometimes I go and I love it. I just feel like I'm really glad Daddy Drag it feels like I just have an opportunity for a wee break from it, actually.
So you're still, obviously that poem you just did there, are you still writing poems with the intention of maybe bringing a book or a show out eventually?
Yeah.
Or are you just sort of, but are you just kind of doing it as a sort of a thing in the background, just sort of dabbling in it?
Well, to be honest with you, I haven't had enough time to write this year.
Where did that poem come from?
So, where did it come from? I wrote it I think last year. So there was about 3 months where I didn't have hardly any work. I was pretty grim actually. And then it hit September, and I've just been totally full on since then. But I think when you have those little periods of quiet, that's when the writing happens actually. And
then what about you was talking about commissioning poems?
Commissioning other people.
Did you say that you've been getting commissioned to do poems? I think
not really this year, but I have in the past.
Yeah, I've just wanted to we're going to need to wrap up soon, but just to point, because obviously I was trying to monetize what you do as an artist is always a tricky one without selling out and doing something. I mean,
if the sellout gigs come, would you take them? Because I've not had any of the fucking sellouts.
It's easy for me to say because nobody offers me sellout gigs.
Jodie fucking Pico patched me
I've not sold out. I mean, I think that I've just. It's very easy for me to say I would never sell out, but I'm not attractive to the capitalist world, really.
Apart from you quite like to be able to start your own whatever.
Well, what I've done is I've just started a website called poemeapoem.com, and that's because I kept on getting asked by people to write a poem for someone's birthday or anniversary.
That's nice, yeah.
So I started doing it as a wee thing, but I didn't feel good about it at the start. But then when I've seen the reactions to people, everyone who gets their poem, they love it. And the people that have got it, it's the best present I've ever given. And so I'm actually really, I've got over the fact that I don't feel like a horrible person charging for words. Because I'd love to live in a world where I can just give out, just write poems all day for people.
You'd fucking have to charge me a fortune to fucking write a poem. I hate writing poetry. No, I'm just joking.
No, I enjoy it. So, but I don't, like I said.
Yeah.
And I think what I might do as well is open up to, if it other poets to maybe help them if they're trying to make a bit of money.
Yeah.
And just obviously make it the Amazon of poetry.
Yeah, totally.
But not really, but just...
So what are you asking about money? Like...
Yeah, but so commission, so if you get commissioned, so...
Yeah, I've only been commissioned a few times, like,
Yeah.
to do stuff, but it's always been quite an interesting experience to write to a brief. And
Yeah.
like getting edits and development stuff is quite fun as well. And
Do you have to censor yourself though? Do you have to censor yourself when you're working for certain companies, or do you feel like
I've never been in a position like that. No. Really, it's never been like major enough to feel like I
would you do the bank advert? Would you do the bank advert?
Would I do the bank advert? It's not a bank, right? It's a nationwide.
It was a building society.
I auditioned to do this fucking Gumtree advert. It's out at the moment actually, and I spent 2 hours sending them the fucking test tape, and I obviously didn't get it because like whatever. But like you get really excited about stuff. Like I've been like approached by like makeup brands and stuff like that, and you do get excited about it, and then nothing like it doesn't.
Do you fill out forms? Do you apply for things, whether that's funding, festivals? It's something that I tell people to fill out I tell other people you should fill out things and apply yourself, but I never actually apply myself.
Well, that's because you're too busy doing other stuff. Like I don't feel like at the moment, like I mean I've applied to like stuff like retreats and stuff like that and got KB'd, but generally I'm pretty busy at the moment. But I have applied to Creative Scotland, but that was through my theatre producer.
You need to plan it like
months.
You know, that's the thing.
But that's why I've got the producer, because she's just fucking great, and she doesn't get paid unless she gets funding. So she does it.
She's motivated.
Yeah, exactly, and that's her skill set, you know. Right. So
I could talk to you all day, Leyla, but that's your
at my curfew. Well, thank you so much. It was good to see you.
Thank you for doing it.
I hope it don't come across as why.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Good luck with it.
You're fine. And Daddy's Drag.
Roxy, 27th of March to 30th of March.
And if this has came out after that, then you'll probably by then, it'll either be in the bin, or it'll be in the fringe.
The bin or the fringe? The bin of the fringe. Okay.
Thank you very much, Leyla. Take care. Bye. You call that radio? No. You call that radio. You can actually call that radio on a phone number. It's a real thing. You just phone. You call that radio on 07340 508 500 07340 508 500. Call that radio 508 500. You call that radio on 07340 508 500. Give us your thoughts, your opinions, your questions. Doesn't matter if you're mad at 4 in the morning. We're always here 24 hours a day. Might be a voicemail, but we'll check it the next day. The kettle is always on. I mean that metaphorically, because it would be very environmentally conscious to keep your kettle on, especially if you didn't know anyone was arriving. Just call that number. You call that radio 07340 508 500. Hello, you call that radio. How can I help you?